Hello, everyone. Welcome. RetroDoge AMA is now live and in session. I'm here with the RetroDoge team. It is Monday, and we will be going through their team, their project, how they've got to this point in time, what they've got coming ahead, where they're at right now, and all those fun and exciting things that entail to their project and their time in this space. So, without further ado, I want to get started with some introductions from our guests today. So, I'll pass the floor over to you guys, and I want you guys to kind of explain yourselves and or introduce yourselves and explain your time here in the space and how that kind of conglomerated into this Retro Doge project, which you find yourselves in today.
Well, thanks for having us here. We're RetroDoge, and basically our developing ecosystem, we stem from a passionate and dedicated group of gaming enthusiasts. We're all true professionals in our field, and we're committed to developing an original story-based thriller of a pixel game. It's kind of the idea is to fill a bygone era to create a game that embodies the nostalgia of the not too distant past, where everybody can ravish in the mysterious quest laden with threats of all kinds. We originally started out as 8-bit Doge and evolved into RetroDoge. I wish Q was kind of here to take a little bit more lead on this because he's way better at the technical aspects of this. I'm still a little bit in a rush. Maybe Blitz can add on to it a little bit.
Hey, yeah, so the project is a secondary project from 8-bit Doge. So originally we were called as 8-bit Doge, and the original idea was to bring a 2D runner game to the crypto scene, to the crypto play to earn scene. And we had chosen Doge as our lead character based on the meme popularity of Doge in 2021 and prior to that. So, and we had built this concept that Doge would have to save Elon, who has been kidnapped, and that would be the basic concept of the game itself, the storyline. And but eventually, I'm sure as you can read up on our history, we found out that the founder of that particular project, 8-bit Doge, happened to be a scammer, and eventually we were able to kick him out and restart the project as RetroDoge, take control of the project entirely. Secret, me, Marco, and Jim. So we became the core team of the project. So myself, I'm Blitzman. I'm the marketing head of the project. I have over a decade of experience handling content creation and and digital marketing, and I have been involved in crypto for the past 1.5 year, around 1.5 year. Prior to that, I have been involved in multiple startups. So that was my go-to place. So I used to be like you could say the one-man marketing team for startups. So they used to come to me for branding consultation and digital marketing consultation purposes. So I was really happy to join the RetroDoge team and bring my particular skill set to this scene and see and challenge myself in this space. Yeah.
Perfect. Awesome. That's great to get a little background on you guys on the project. Yeah, I know I had gone through the white paper before today's. Sorry, one second. The dog's in the way. I got through your white paper and I was able to see your kind of road so far. So I noticed that you guys had that 8-bit Doge project that came about last year in 2021, as you were saying. And then through after finding out the lead of the project was not that stand up of a guy, which happens in this space. I've been part of, unfortunately, too many projects where there's a nefarious people behind the scenes, and it really just detracts from anything positive that anyone else is trying to do on that team and in the space. So it's good you guys were able to get them out and really focus and reshape. I had the pleasure of going through your guys' Twitter space and your guys' website and saw a lot of these different kind of layouts for these different game levels and stuff for your kind of running stylized theme game. So it's awesome to see that the progress wasn't completely just axe at the base. Once you guys had to restart, you still had a lot of that game development going for you guys. So that's perfect to see. So thank you guys for that introduction. So I kind of want to go over a little bit more of that relaunch that you guys had and that came about earlier this year, and then kind of the roadmap and some other things tied into that. So I noticed you guys started back on May 9th. So I mean, I know timing wise, there was no way of predicting that the market was going to hit the kind of rough waters it hit on that week of 2022. I personally had a project that also started in that same kind of time frame, and to be able to hold your weight within when everything was crashing was a real feat. So I looked at your guys' chart and I saw that you guys did kind of escape the initial kind of fear and panic. But overall, as the market kind of sets in, every project of every nature has been hit by this market.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Like, it was kind of a surprise. Like, we actually managed to hold and retain the liquidity pool, and it actually grew throughout this horrible market, which was relatively surprised. And we're like, all right, well, we're strong. You know, it proves we have something to hold on to.
Yeah, exactly, and that really can tie into your community base too. So that's something I'd like to talk to you more about at the end of the conversation, but I can kind of segue into it now. Have you found that your community was able to be retained throughout this whole entire dramatic process of finding someone who was behind the project doing bad actions and then kicking them out and then restarting anew and coming about? I know transparency is a big portion of your guys' new kind of face of the project. So how has the community responded to that?
So beforehand, that was the original dev. He pitched his whole concept behind transparency and how he was actually played himself off as an anti-scam dev. And, you know, I'm transparent. You can see everything I'm doing. Well, obviously it turned out that he wasn't like that. So yes, we've been completely transparent about everything we're doing. And I believe that probably our crossover is probably somewhere in the 70 to 80% range. I bet you we've retained at least that amount of holders. And the staking pool kind of speaks for itself. I don't know what's in it right now. Maybe Blitz can glance over at it real quick, but I believe there's somewhere around 300 million tokens in it.
Yes, 200 million.
Okay.
Yeah, and comparatively to your guys' actual supply on market, that's a fairly good chunk, because I noticed you guys, if people have the option to segue over to your website or your white paper or your tokenomics or your team finance links, they can kind of see where these tokens have gone about. Because I noticed you have what correct me if I'm wrong, it's a 10 billion total supply, right? But you've managed to burn, I believe, close to 8 billion of that.
Yeah, was well over 70% is burned.
Yeah. So your tokenomics, so it seems like you had a large supply, but it's effectively a macro cap, a smaller supply for those listening, effectively because of that burned and then the locked portions. Is that correct?
Exactly.
Awesome. And what was the logic behind that? You guys have any reasonings that kind of dictated behind this strategy?
Blitz. I got screaming baby in the background. Sorry.
No worries.
So it's like a part of our entire transparency model that we are going for, like complete transparency, and we are just like trying to stand apart from the previous like picture that the scam dev had portrayed, that he was transparent, but we wanted to actually put some steps in to prove that. So one of those steps is locking up the considerable amount of the tokens in team finance, and for like a year or so that we can, you know, like boost confidence in our investors to show that, you know, these free tokens are not going to be held by the team. No one in the team is holding some secret wallets in the back or something like that. Everything is transparent. We have provided all the wallet addresses that are linked to the project itself. We have in fact partnered with Bubble Map as well, where you can see our entire project wallets, all the project wallets that are connected.
Yeah, and I've had the pleasure too. I went through you guys' BSC scan as well, because I know a lot of novice investors don't take the time to just go through the. I mean, it's crypto. Everything is shown. So if you don't utilize the tools that are provided, you're just cutting yourself short. So I went through your BSC scan, your holders. I mean, everything's super transparently there. You can see what wallets are holding what percentages and what those wallets are dictated for, and if they're locked or not. So I agree. I would say that you guys' transparency levels are super right on par with where you're trying to be, especially with the past affairs that have come about. So it's really good on you and commendable. I can see that you guys' heart's in the right place and that you've put thought behind this relaunch.
Thank you.
No, we appreciate it, man. It was like, that was the other thing with kind of redoing the game is like, well, we're actually putting more thought into it. Like we wanted an actual playable game where people would enjoy it. Like it actually looks like a game that a gamer would design, and not someone was designing just to make a quick buck. You know?
Yeah, exactly. I noticed a lot of the small mechanics I've seen too, and even just going through your Twitter, you guys have these weekly game dev updates by your dev, which is really impressive and really important to me, especially by someone who looks often into these GameFi spaces. You want to see constant updates. You want to see what they're doing behind the pages.
And that was kind of how I got into it. I mean, I got into it as an investor and as like a gamer, essentially, you know, and I'm like, well, the mechanics have drastically improved between the two devs. So you actually, like you said, with Marco, you actually have someone here that is interested in game developing and isn't into it for scamming, obviously. So it's a whole different project.
And is that demo that's on your guys' site, is that from the original project, or is that a newly released demo that was concocted by your guys' current team?
If it's the one I'm thinking of, Blitz, it's the original demo by the current team, so it's a very old demo, right, Blitz?
That's what I was thinking. It looks like an older version of what the game might have been before some kind of major reconstruction.
I believe he's talking the forest level with the old character, with our old.
Yeah. So it's very old that's on there, but it was kind of what we were throwing together with what we had when we were trying to reorganize originally.
Yeah.
Okay, so if people are looking for more of the newer stylizing, they should look towards the latest postings and I would assume your Telegram channel and your Twitter. And there's a couple. I believe there's a couple little footage as well below the demo on the website.
Right. Once we do the next major update, it's going to be kind of a generalized update all around, and the website will get a complete update. You'll have a totally different demo on there. Like we're going to scrub that one all together.
Perfect. Yeah, because I noticed you guys have your alpha release coming up very soon. That's correct.
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about that? I'm sure that's been something. I mean, you guys started May 9th and we're now June 9th. So you're about a month into this version of your project's launch. So I know an alpha release is a super important milestone step. So can you walk us through your time up until now and what's coming?
Yeah, Blitz, do you want to? I mean, you have done a ton of work with this, so.
Yeah, no problem. So first of all, I would like everyone to have a moment to just compare with what was done earlier in the previous project at Doge. So we had a dev who took he took about 6 to 7 months to have a proper functioning, no bug-free alpha demo. But in our rebrand RetroDoge with our new dev Marco, who is brilliant, he has like a decade of experience in back-end coding, and recently he got into game dev, and he has been spectacular, just like really brilliant at it. So so to start off, when we launched RetroDoge, we had to quickly together a demo to just showcase that what our current expertise are. So we used the old Doge model as well. So then I went ahead and pushed the team. We had a team meeting about it, and we decided that because we rebranded and we relaunched and we kicked the old dev out, we needed to have proper new character that signifies that upgrade, that sort of new face to it. So we created a new Doge, and we created a new level as well called as castle level that we are doing in the alpha demo. We launched the castle level. We had a new character. We built some new mechanics around him, and Marco is really good with coming up with ideas to populate the level with different kind of ideas, the rising lava, and I believe you can see the video of that level on our Twitter page.
Yeah, I actually just posted the Twitter link. Actually, if you look in chat, I happen to have been on that Twitter page while you were talking about it, so I sent it through right there.
The demo video looks phenomenal compared to
I could see that you guys Sorry.
No, I don't mean to butt in. Sorry to you.
No, I was also just going to commend you guys for the upgrade on the character, because comparatively from the demo, you got kind of a short natured, big faced Doge, and now you've got a cool hipper character, which seems more utilizable in these kind of stylized games.
That's definitely an improvement.
I would like to credit the artists for this, because it came out of nowhere. Like, I had an idea that we need to because we are rebranding, we need to have a new face to it. So I was like, I went through some of the artist submissions that we got, and there was the character, and I was like, okay, Doge looks much better in this picturization. So I was like, I took that, and we decided that we need to implement this into the game, and we went ahead and we demoed it, we tested it amongst ourselves, and it looked really, really good. The character looked really good, and so we made it official. We made the character official. Yeah.
And that was one of the things, was the art essentially came from someone in the community, and that was, the token's always been about the community. Like, that was during 8-bit, during the 8-bit run, like the whole token was driven by the community, you know, and like that's kind of why we all stuck around and stayed together, and like we appreciate every bit of input from the community here. You know, it's like, this is totally a community-driven token, you know.
No, yeah, and user feedback goes a long way, especially as you're going through these testing stages and these developmental stages too. I've been through many projects that really grow and really hone their kind of game specialties throughout those phases and throughout the ideas thrown by the community. So it's good you guys have an involved community, and you guys are listening to them, and everyone seems involved in the kind of updates and progress that's been going about.
And that was like one of the aspects that really got hurt about the year, and that's what we're trying to rebuild, is that whole aspect that we had last year. It was a really, like, I wouldn't say it was like a pack of nerds, but it was a real gaming community. Like, everybody was really driven by the project, and we're rebuilding that essentially with a better product.
That's good. So the rebrand of the character also kind of brings me to the NFT side of your website and your features there. So because I'm assuming there's this massive rebrand of the overall character, are all of these NFTs that are shown, that are, I assume, are demos on the site, are they going to be switched and matched to match with the new character design?
So if you're looking at the old NFTs, those are all going to be scrapped, as far as I know.
Yeah, it's the current website. So it's the same. It's the old design where they have the big head and the smaller bodies. So those are all going to be scrapped then to match the newer one.
Yeah, that seems to be the current plan, because well, you can tell them, Blitz. We had some issues with that contract, and the old dev still has access to a inordinate amount of the contract. And
okay, so were those NFTs actually minted and in production at one point, and like went out to people, or was it just he had already started that development and there was no way to get it back from him, so to do a new route?
Yeah, they actually were. They started production, what was it, Blitz? The end of January, beginning of February, something like that?
They started production, mid of January, and then the launch happened like February 1st, right? 31st Jan.
Yeah, something like that, beginning of February. And then I forgot what happened. I know that we managed to get control of the contract, but it's not worth dealing with the hassle. Yeah,
it's not worth it. Yeah, it's definitely not worth it. So we're gonna just scrap that whole entire NFT contract. We're gonna go with a new one and airdrop the old NFT holders.
Nice. And so does the tokenomics stay the same throughout this process? I know you had like a 5,500 NFT total, with like 500 being playable NFTs.
No. We are,
and the rest being like profile picture NFTs. Or
no. We are
sorry,
going
what was
to change. No, we are going to change the numbers, because we are going to have a community vote around it as well. We are going to have a discussion with the community around it. But the numbers are going to change. We are going to have a fewer PFPs and gaming NFTs. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, but and you're still gonna have a little blend between playable NFTs and then PFP. Is there any difference in utility for those two NFTs, or pricings for those two NFTs? Is that all coming about a little bit later?
Yeah, it'll be different pricing and different utilities, but it'll kind of gradually come along.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I mean, you're going into the game testing stages, so I'm not going to grill you too hard on the NFTs. I know how that's that when you have to integrate multiple elements into the system. You want to make sure that you got the gameplay down, and then you've got the NFT down, and then you got the P2E down, and then all that has to be integrated fully and tested and adjusted. So I know there's a lot that goes into it. So I won't grill you too much, especially since you're rebranding the NFTs.
No, it's all good. I mean, it's fine getting the word out.
But I can definitely say that we have onboarded an artist who is working on our NFT artwork as we speak.
It's not something we got on the back burner. Like, it's definitely something that's in motion.
Exactly.
Good, perfect. Yeah. So I'm sure everyone's excited to hear that. Throughout the market collapse, even NFTs, as much of a dip as they've taken, they've still held their weight. And if you got good utility, you got good use for them, they're going to come about one way or the other. So it's good to see. I'm sure people following along will be excited to see those updates as you go about. One other thing I noticed when going through your Twitter, just briefly earlier, I saw a notice of a CERTIC audit that was underway. Is that still undergoing, or is that finished? Can you tell me a little about that?
It's complete. It is all done. I haven't actually read the entire report. Unfortunately, I have not had a chance to. But Q is in here, and he has completed. He has read the whole thing. He had it done, and he's raising his hand now to read the whole thing. And he will give you a complete update on it. Yeah, I know he did all right.
I know
there was a few questions on it. And he can address the questions that were on it because he answered them fully. And we had some issues during the audit because of dealing with the old dev and having to migrate through that issue. So yeah, he's more equipped to handle that because all the CERTIC stuff is in his name and he dealt with it.
How you doing, Q? Welcome today. Happy Monday. Thanks for joining us, brother.
Morning, guys. Sorry so much. I am embarrassed. You cannot describe it. Give me a minute. My Wi-Fi is not working properly. I've got to reset it.
Get yourself sorted, mate. We'll be here when you're happy to come back in.
But yeah, we figured CERTIC was the best route to go, route, however everybody says it. It was kind of like the top of the line, where we can dismiss a lot of questions right off the bat. You know, we wanted to be as legitimate as possible. And, you know, they literally, like as Q will say, they ripped the contract apart line by line. And they will give you a list with any discrepancies.
Yeah. I haven't had the pleasure to go through it yet, just because I had just briefly saw about the minor tweet on it when I was scrolling through. But that's good to know that it's completed. I know a lot of projects get held up, which seems like for months and months on end on a search of completion. So it's good to see that it's done, regardless of the results. But I know with the results comes a lot of. Sometimes you'll have a bunch of minor faults, which don't necessarily tie up the contract functionality. It just kind of comes to their solidity coding and how they read these things. But I am curious to hear from Q what those results were, because I don't have a link. Is there a link on your website to the CERTIC? There might be.
I believe so.
I don't think so. Actually, yes, there she is.
Yeah,
she is.
And Q could answer every single one of the bullet points because he went through them.
It's only 13 fightings is nothing critical. Your guys' CERTIC report, that alone is solid. I mean,
can you unmute Q, please?
But he went through there line by line with them and answered everything. And like any questions that anyone would have about the contract, he's got his responses in there. So it's not like we're hiding anything about it, you know.
No, yeah, exactly. And the fact that you carried through with the CERTIC audit too alone signifies the transparency. And I'm looking through it now. And when you look at the levels of severity, it's kind of like I was saying too. It's mainly just a lot of the texting for the solidity. But if anyone does have any questions about that, they can check through that. And then once we open up to community questions, they might have a little bit more specific. But if Q's here and if he's ready and if he wants to give us a little brief on.
Yeah, he's raising his hand there. I know one of the functions with the taxes, and the reason being was we were going to, as the token supply dropped, we were going to lower the taxes eventually. That was kind of the old concept. So there was some questions with that. But yeah, let him explain this because he'll do a way better job, and I'll just butcher it.
Thanks, Jim. All right. So, yeah, as they were all explaining, we went through CERTIC. They pulled it apart line by line. I didn't answer every topic there because there is obviously a couple of informationals and a couple of low-grade issues, but I answered all of the medium, and major, all the medium and major findings. Yeah. In there, it tackles many of the things that you typically do find in a contract like this, which is like editable taxes, the centralization of the contract. What else? What have we got? We had one coding error with our launch mode, which we managed to perform a workaround to keep going with this contract. Everything there is explained. I even put in for centralization of the contract. We initiated and put a time lock delay on our contract, and then lock that time lock behind a core team multi-signature wallet. So for anyone who's worried about anybody attempting to change the contract taxes, not only is it delayed by 50 hours, so anybody who's smart can really put trackers on their contract calls to essentially use bots to pull themselves out if they feel insecure about our project. But on the other side of it, we can't actually change our contract without 3 of the 4 core team signatures. There is.
Yeah, I saw that in your guys' white paper that you had that integrated into the multi-sig wallet. So it's good that you guys have that shown too.
Yeah. On the other side, we were also concerned about losing access to it if one of the core team members lost access to one of their wallets. There is a second line there that we can do an emergency contract call with a 30-day delay using a single wallet. But again, it takes a whole month for us to recover the contract in that manner.
Yeah,
not something
and everyone can see everything happening on BSC scan in real time when things get activated anyway. So it's all transparent in nature.
That's the beauty of the blockchain. You can see everything, every function as it's moving.
All right, so we kind of talked a little bit about the tokenomics. So I noticed that you guys have a 7% buy and 11% sell, and that's all good in there and how it's divvied up. You see 2% goes to liquidity, 2% staking rounds, 1% burns forever, 2% marking wallet. That's for the buys. And then for sells, it's similar, just a slightly adjusted ratio for the percentages. I had one question there that kind of really pertained to this is I noticed that after the game's fully integrated and completed, it says that the 2% is going to go from the staking rounds to the P2E. So does that mean that staking is going to stop once the game's about? So is staking kind of just a utility placeholder until P2E is fully live? Or can you walk me through that a little bit?
Yeah, at this point in time, we shouldn't stop the day we start the game up because we will be continuing to top up our staking pools with our partners. But until we have a decent amount of liquidity in the play to earn liquidity pool, we would like to focus the taxation towards that first. Once we have enough there, I wouldn't mind flipping it back onto staking. It's just a matter of making sure that the play to earn system gets the priority in terms of taxation tokens before we go back to staking again.
Yeah, and I'm sure when we got an active and involved community too, they'll be behind and supportive of your decisions, especially if they're the stakers and the ones playing the games. I mean, it all goes to benefit them in the long run. So I think you got it mapped out pretty well. You got to keep an eye on it.
Yep, that's it.
Perfect. All right, well that pretty much covers up my tokenomics questions that I had really. So we covered the supply and the burnt portions. I don't think you were here for that queue for the most part, but we delved into that a good amount and your team finance and stuff like that. So I think that's all well and squared away. So I kind of want to just drag over to you guys' roadmap really quick and then just so you've gone through all of your project launch, your token launch, your white paper release, your website launch. You got your game trailer out for your demos and your updates that have come from your new developer. So now you're entering that summer Q2, Q3 phase. And I know you're going into your alpha modes. We talked about your alpha testing coming up. Do you guys have an actual date slated for that? Or is it like this month? Or I just know that it said coming soon on your Twitter.
Yeah, we're looking we're looking reasonably good for the end of this month, to be honest. It's just a couple of very small details that we just want to iron out with the marketing plan to back that up. Once we've got those out the road, it's date time.
Yeah, and I feel it. And is it going to be kind of similar to how the demo was released on site, to where anyone can access it, or is it going to be a more limited pool of participants for your community, or how are you doing it?
Yeah, we're looking at probably updating that tech demo to our first revision alpha. It probably won't be until near the beta stage where we start locking things up properly and secluding testers that we need to iron out all the bugs towards the end of the build phase. Yeah,
and I know with the integration of P2E, I mean, that's not going to be until later in the year, because like you said, you have to do all the testing and stuff like that. But are you guys looking at, because I know this timeline-wise in your roadmap, NFT development comes prior to P2E integration. So are you going to make sure that the NFTs that you do you're re-workshopping and re-releasing, are those going to be integrated into the game for the P2E, or is this kind of all going to really come together once it's more like as a fully finished product?
Currently, with the idea we've got in mind, it will likely be amalgamated into the entire play to earn sort of release package when we get into that in the beta phase. We might do some independent testing on testnet with them, but I actually see us needing like a master controlling contract that'll work between the play to earn and the NFTs, and possibly even marketplaces if we do it, to make it all work together seamlessly. So it's most likely going to be late beta before everything comes together.
Perfect. That's pretty much what I was expecting and hoping to hear. It's good that you thought about it and you understand the logistics behind it necessarily, blockchain wise, and how it all has to come together, especially if you're looking to integrate a marketplace later down the line. So that's good.
Yeah.
That kind of answers.
I'm not a developer, but I do take a lot of time to learn the basics of everything that we're doing.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I just try to, because there's no way in heck you give me a couple lines of code, I'm gonna be lost. But if you tell me the logistics behind what the coding does or whatever, I can wrap that down pretty much.
Yeah.
So yeah. So that's all good in there. We talked on the NFTs. We talked on the P2E. Actually, I had another question kind of about the P2E. So just kind of on the idea behind the P2E. So I noticed that it's more of a beat all the levels to really, or beat a level and you. Sorry, let me just start with is the concept for P2E the same as it's relayed in the white paper currently? Is it going to be where you're going through these levels, collecting coins, and then the amount of coins you collect through these levels kind of ascertained to an amount of your RetroDoge token that's earned, and then like after each map you can either claim or continue, and then bearing through all these levels, once you get to a final level, if you beat this final level, you get what's kind of like a jackpot. So is that kind of the same concept? Can you expand upon that a little bit for our listeners?
Yep. Look, very basically, that's exactly how we're going to be continuing with the project. With the play to earn, I think you've covered it pretty much. You got to beat the level before you're even given the option to claim the tokens you earned on the level, or risk that bag and push forwards into the next level. Obviously, if you fail in the next level, you're not going to get any tokens out. But we're also playing with some ideas on how to give players who are earning a potential leg up to get themselves through more levels with like in-game in-game perks and upgrades. So
like if you be like level 3 or whatever, you get like a speed boost or something, or you earn more tokens in that round, or just kind of little effects and power-ups that help you through your gameplay.
Yeah, you might be able to use some of the tokens you've collected and pick up these little perks just to push you through the next couple levels, just to make the game that little bit more engaging for the casual user, because obviously towards the end of the levels, it's going to be an incredible level ramp to dissuade professional players from exploiting the game just because of their skills.
Yeah, okay, cool. And that kind of brings me to one of my next questions as well, tied to the gameplay is, obviously, I mean, if someone's just an absolute beast of the game and they're really well, I mean, that's great for them. They've got the skills. But how do you go about preventing maybe any potential cheating going about in these kind of worlds?
We were just talking about that,
well,
ironically.
Basic protections are like you've got to randomize some of the level assets just to help destroy those bots. So we'll be running, we'll probably be running randomization software from Chainlink for that to help keep the levels fair on a blockchain perspective, but also make sure that every time that you spawn a map on play to earn, at least that the map won't be the same as the previous playthrough to make sure that they don't get through. Obviously, we're not going to be able to.
That's one rudimentary step you need to do.
Yeah.
You can't
totally protect ourselves from professional players, but we can make the difficulty so that the challenge is there for them to actually get to the end. We're also considering running limited jackpot re-winners. If you win it like once in the week, you might not be able to win as much or possibly at all for the rest of the week. We're still playing with the end game sort of play to earn aspect.
Yeah. That all comes to a testing too, and as you're integrating the testing and all that stuff. So I understand that's a process in its own right, especially as you're talking to the community and watching all the supply levels and such like that.
It's going to be one of the more scrutinized aspects of it. The end result is to figure out how.
Yeah, the P2E aspect is always the part where they're going to be a little cut throat on you or be the most scrutinous. Because at the end of the day, that's what they've been holding out for. I
mean, it's one of those things that constantly pops up into our chats. It's like, how do we keep people from exploiting this? You know, like we're gonna have to constantly go through this and make keep testing.
But I see you guys already have a wide range of levels that you've got in the works. I think just scrolling through your Twitter, I saw like 3 or 4 different levels that have been in the works or have been like shown or showcased in some light. So I think that's awesome. And if you can get those randomized and you can get those on nice intervals of varying difficulties, it should bode well in your favor.
I got a question from the retro community. I have 1, 2, 3, at least 3 people that can't get into here the VC.
Okay, I'll just turn off our bot in our chat room, and then anyone should be able to join. They might have been missing the.
Maybe that'll.
There we go. So have them try to join now. And up into the chat rooms. It's at Tayarra _official.
And the dog's barking. Yeah, I got a. I guess they were having trouble getting past the bot, but I threw it up in there. Let's see if they'll try it now.
Let's see if there's a VC link I can drop in the chat too.
All right. Let's see what happens. There we go. Maybe it'll change.
All right, we'll see what happens. Back to the show. What were we just talking about? So, yeah, we were just talking about the game. So I kind of brushed over this a little bit, but I want to tie back real quick to you guys' staking protocol. So I noticed you guys use SafeSwap for your staking. Has that been live since you guys launched on the 9th, or can you just walk me a little bit through your guys' staking protocol and why you guys find that an important part of your project at this point in time?
Yeah, we launched our staking within about 2 weeks of us launching, actually. The reason why we went and did that partly was there was community demand in the previous project to have staking up and running. But the other part is obviously the conditions between then and now have changed. There's a lot of people who obviously have pulled their money due to the macroeconomics of what's going on with Bitcoin and that. But the people who are left behind, I don't believe that they should be left holding bags that really aren't generating anything for them anymore, because we removed reflections from the previous contract into ours. So what we did was we set up, obviously, the staking tax as its replacement in reward offering for holders. Then the staking pool itself, I've lost my train of thought. Help me, Jim.
What about? Well, we're talking about the staking pool. We put the staking pool together to give people, to give everyone something back, essentially, because it was originally 8-bit was a rewards token, and they're sitting here holding through all of this disaster that we went through, and they're getting nothing back. We took away the rewards because essentially with the way the rewards work, the old dev was taking advantage of it by having the magnitude of wallets, and with that setup, you could have lived off of your rewards. So
yeah, he's draining the supply and the liquidity through the daily reflections. Gotcha.
So it's like we eliminated that aspect of it, and we're just, let's go to the staking pool, and
so that makes people lock in who are more long term and here for the right idea.
And so we went with a 6 month staking, and it killed two birds with one stone. It got rid of the reflections, and it gave some of the holders something to look forward to at least. It's like, all right, well, you're getting paid to stay here.
Nice. And how's your guys' APY for your current staking pools? Is it just the 1 6 month option of lock? Is there varying degrees of options and percentages, or how do you guys set it?
Well, I mean, it varies now depending on who's in it, but right now it's at 35% the last time I checked. So it's
gotcha. And that's just one pool, right?
Yeah, just the one pool.
Yeah,
perfect. No, yeah, that's solid.
Yeah, right.
And you get
we also have the option to add more tokens to extend that pool too, which we can easily do.
What's the it's 4%, right? Is your initial buy-in tax, and I think we measured the recovery of that in about a month. That was at like a 30% APY, APR, whatever. That's right, bud.
Oh, yeah. All right, perfect. No worries. And then so that's good for staking. And I noticed you guys' website, if you're directing someone to buy, you guys go through AngiSwap. Is that through some direct partnership you guys have acquired through them, or is that just your preferred mode? Can you walk me through that? Most people normally link to PancakeSwap or like just the general. What led to an AngiSwap?
Well, AngiSwap is a PancakeSwap front off the bat, but mainly because I've had a friendship with the CEO to that project since they launched probably about, maybe June last year. AngiSwap's a decent organization there. Their fees for transactions go back towards more charitable and well-meaning contributions to society. So I'm sort of happy sending traffic their way, knowing that some of that reward that they get, they actually put back into things like growing trees or water supplies or whatever that they need to do at the time.
I feel you. So it's just a nice, healthy alternative that doesn't stifle the process in any way. So that's good. That's good to see.
Yeah.
I was just curious. Awesome. So one thing I kind of noticed, because when I first was brought to the table to host an AMA for you guys today, I kind of just Googled RetroDoge in Google real quick just to see what would come up. And first, you're kind of blasted with images from a past project of someone who was obviously trying to make some like cheap merchandise for their project, and even a RetroDoge website, which clearly isn't your guys' website. It's a do nothing coin, which links you to no charts and no buying utility. Is this something that you guys have encountered throughout your guys' relaunch and your rebranding? Is it something you felt wasn't a hassle, or can you walk me through if you've encountered that?
Yeah, we've had this trouble with this specific website a couple of times already. We don't know why it's still online, because the project behind it has been long since dead. I don't understand why they haven't pulled that website yet. But we are working towards SEO optimization to try and push that off the top rank in whatever category that you search for it. Currently, I think if you just Google RetroDoge without the space in the middle of it, ours does come up.
Yeah, I did that and I noticed that that had less results and didn't pull up the ugly website of that former project that's not associated to y'all. So yeah. One word seemed to be the best chance we get your guys' Google results.
Zero
Yeah.
affiliation.
But yeah. No, we're not affiliated with that garbage.
Yeah. I wouldn't assume so. I pulled up the website and I was like, this is the project that I'm posting today.
Right. Well, you never know. It could be.
Yeah. I was like, this is gonna be a short AMA. And then I went to my chat and I was like, all right, cool, thank God.
Yeah, but you went ahead and went through with it, so it's like, well, at least it's worth it. It could be interesting.
Yeah, well, I was confused because I found the Twitter and the website at that incorrect website at the same time, and I was scrolling through the two of them. I was just like, this is not adding up. Like this makes no sense. Quickly found my way through it. We're all good, and I imagine anyone online can quickly and logically do the same.
Yeah.
Okay, so that honestly, I've covered a good amount of the major talking points I've wanted to talk about personally. I had a few little minor things about like I noticed NFT utility included like a VIP club and merchandise, but I imagine that's all future tied as well because you have to do the NFTs and stuff like that. So that's nothing too crazy. I just kind of want to end up my section of questions with a kind of where you guys are looking to go now, because I know you're coming into that alpha phase, which is going to come with its own type of marketing pushes and stuff like that. Do you have any partnerships that you're waiting to acquire or that you've acquired that you haven't announced, or like just anything exciting for this future operations that you're coming into?
Not really. Like we've got one that we haven't announced that we'd like to do a little bit more with before we formally put it to the community what we've gotten to so far. But we haven't really found any other strong communities to really partner up with. I was actually quite interested when you guys had reached out to us asking about whether or not you wanted to do an AMA, because your community is probably more along the lines of where we should be heading in terms of focus direction with partnerships. Yeah.
No, yeah. The route we've taken is a little different from our project. We definitely because here at Tayarra, yeah, we have our game and we token and stuff that we launched, but our CEO noticed that just our timing wasn't going to be good for this market, so we really started this hub initiative, which has been great for partnerships and connections to be made. And we actually have podcasts that we host weekly as well. So if you guys ever want to come in and chime into our podcast, it's a great way to meet more projects and teams and like-minded people as well. So you're always welcome to come join us for those.
Yeah, it's too easy. If I get out of bed on time.
I feel you. Where are you guys? I'm guessing you're UK based. I think maybe my Sunnyvale pal Jim. Are you US based or are you from Canada?
I'm US based. I'm not from Canada. Our former dev was from Canada, but yeah, I'm US based. We can probably guess where she's from with that accent, man.
We'll find him on a map somewhere.
He lays it on. He makes my heart melt over the VC, man. He lays that Australian on thick. It's like, hey, baby.
Yeah, almost all my smashing VCs, I have to top off to my Australian mates or my New Zealand mates because they make it sound 20 times more better of a conversation than if I'm talking.
Right.
Okay, cool. So that pretty much covers up all I want to ask. So we're at the point now. We've been talking for a good 45, 50 minutes or so. I want to open it up to community questions. And so what we're going to be doing is I'm going to be asking the community to raise their hands, and we're going to go through their questions. You guys can answer them to their varying degrees of efficacy. And then afterwards, we'll have y'all pick your favorite question, and that'll be gone for the prize, for y'all the prize section of the thing. And then I'll also pick a question as well. And then for the other varying points of the thing, if anyone noticed in our announcements, we took a screenshot 45 minutes into the VC starting, and 2 users from that will be selected for prizes as well. And those users have to be in attendance at the end of this AMA to make sure that they were here throughout the whole duration. So that's just a little heads up on the segment that's about to come. So if you guys are ready, do you guys want to take a sip of water, pause for a moment before we get into the community round? How are you feeling?
Let's push through because unfortunately I'm now going to be on a time crunch for my day starting.
No worries, I completely understand. This section is normally a little bit shorter. Normally, my section is the longest portion. I tend to talk a lot as it happens. So yeah, we'll slide right into it then. If anyone has any questions, please raise your hand. For those answering questions in chat, I believe now would be the time. I'm waiting for Melvin to give up the. Melvin's listening right here. Let me send him a message real quick. Community question. Perfect. All right. So yeah, if anyone has any questions, please raise your hand. Now's the time. I know we've discussed a lot, and I've personally asked a lot of questions that I know some people had prior to joining the AMA. So if they've been answered, I understand. But please raise your hands, and we'll get started. Yeah.
I feel like that's a problem everywhere we go. We answer everything so comprehensively that nobody wants to put their hand up.
I know. I had that problem too. I did a project where I did like 15 AMAs in a row every day, but by like halfway through, no one just had any questions, and we're just like left like talking about it. And the AMAs went like an hour and a half long each time, and it's sometimes you cover a lot of the bases for a lot of the interested people listening, which is nice, but I would love to see a good hand or two pop up, because these are where you're going to get your rewards in, folks.
Maybe we've already answered all the questions everybody wanted to ask. Who knows?
It happens. It does happen. But I know there's got to be someone out there with a question who also wants a reward. With this slim pickings of questions, it's going to be easy to get a reward, is all I was saying. But it seems
somebody's going to ask a question like, is it raining in Australia? And that would be the only question, and they win.
It'd be a good question.
Right? And you'd be like, oh, yes. No, that's not. All right, well, you won because you were the only question. I got it.
Maybe we should just flip it, say hands up if you're satisfied with the questions that have already been asked.
What if Q and I just start asking each other questions?
Yeah, we just have a little game of 20 questions. All right, we got a hand up. Ozan, let's see. It might be his same question that he just dropped in chat. But Ozan, how you doing, brother?
I want to ask about, do you have the complete the white paper? I find anyway, but can find it. Do you have it? Please give to us. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll drop the link of their white paper.
So far, that's the winner of the best question, ladies and gentlemen.
No, man. I read the white paper first. I will have the question to ask, but I can't find any way to file it. Please give it.
Sorry, what was that, Ozan?
Yeah, I saw it.
All right, we got some questions coming in via chat. There they are. There they are. I was gonna say, I knew they were waiting. I had to actually say in chat, drop your questions. Our host normally does that, and they were probably waiting for that. My bad. All right, so we got some chat questions that are coming up. Some of these may pertain less to the project. It may just be a copy paste. So I'm gonna read through a couple of these, and I'll pick a couple as well to present y'all. For our VC listeners, though, please raise your hand if you have a question, and you'll get that front row access to questions coming up. First, a question that I saw, which seemed pretty good actually. Are there requirements before being able to participate in the P2E? But yeah, is that something that you're going to have? Is there going to be like holding requirements to get started with the game, or is this going to be a kind of open for all? Those who want to get started just need to get in, or do they need an NFT? What kind of entry requirements are there?
We're definitely not going to go with an NFT requirement because that would limit the amount of reach this game would get to. We are debating on whether or not we want to include like a token minimum for playing the game. But that also would rely upon us making payment systems that would be easy enough for like the general crowd, like the indie games crowd, to buy into to play the game if they wanted to play to earn. It's one of those contested ones for us until we get closer to focusing solely on the play to earn, and that it's a bit, we've got ideas, but we haven't really got what we want to execute just yet.
No, yeah, makes sense.
Yes,
So
tao ý rồi. Tao phát đi.
What's up, Ozan? Do you have a question?
Yeah, I had a question about play to one game of the RetroDoge. Follow, I have read about will be the Mario game, yes. So
I heard Mario.
Yeah, sorry.
What's your question? Was your question what's like the inspiration for the game, since it's like Mario style?
Yes.
Is that your question?
So my question is, what is the PlayStation major sim of the game that could attract the user to play or stay in the long run? It is star play that game. If I'm a non-crypto player, are you here?
Having a hard time hearing you, but if you type your question, I'll be able to read it perfectly, and that'll save us some time probably. Sorry about that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So,
You type it out.
sorry,
And we'll segue over to a separate question real quick. I saw someone asking about will there be since it's a P2E in a wallet connected game in like the Web3 crypto space, is there going to be a non-connected version format so people can practice or play just as like a scroller online, or are they going to need to be connected and plugged into the space to be able to get into the game?
Right. That's easier to solve. Yes, we're going to be doing a free-to-play version. We won't have the randomization factor in it, and we probably will make the difficulty grade a little bit smaller for more casual players to just practice and hone their skills on. That way it sort of gets it out there potentially into other platforms that don't accept crypto at the moment, to build that audience up, to give them something that they accept, and they can go, how do I play this thing for real, sort of thing as well.
Nice. So you can kind of have like a mobile version, and then like if they want to unlock certain upgrades or go certain farther, then they need to get integrated into like the blockchain version or something like that.
Yeah,
I think that's what.
Even if it was to the point that buying the token would be sort of the what is it? Forgot the word. It'd be equivalent to buying like in-game premium currency for other.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah, for all those chess type features and stuff you see in the games. All right, so that's perfect. So as long as you're making sure you're appealing to non-crypto market at the same time, you've covered your base as well. So that's good. All right. So I'm just looking for another good question. Not all of these questions are good. And if you see someone raise their hand too, let me know, because I'm not really glancing it. Is there a minimum or maximum of RetroDoge they can stake, or is there any caps in your staking pools, or is it a stake come all?
I do believe safe swaps set their maximum staking amount high enough that even our top holders can get in using just their singular wallet. I don't see there being a maximum or a minimum. They just need to know that whatever they put in, while it is a flexible pool, they aren't going to get their return on their token for at least around about a month, I believe, is the turnaround time to break even in the pool. And like I said,
Gotcha.
even if
Gotcha.
you're late
And it's a
to that
6 month
pool,
block, right?
we're happy to. No, it's a flex pool, so you can go in and out as you please.
Gotcha.
But that 4% stake in tax is going to hurt you if you decide to pull out the next week.
Okay, got it. I heard the other homie mentioned 4% earlier, and I forgot to ask about that, but I wasn't sure what he was referencing actually. So that makes more sense then. Okay, so that's tied to the staking pool, and the interchangeability between it. That's good.
Yeah.
Let's see. Are you guys looking forward to listing any of your NFTs on separate markets? Because I know you said you talked a little bit about maybe doing your own type of marketplace system, but I imagine you're going to start with a marketplace system outside of your own. Was there something that you guys used for your first initial launching that you want to use again, or is this something that you want to try to branch like Binance or NFT or some other Galler type marketplace?
Yeah, the previous project launched the PSPs using, I do believe, the dev port, and just simply use the Hashlips NFT contract and the art generator. While we might consider using the art generator again, for the contract itself we want to have as our own. I've got a blockchain dev who will be back in probably about a month's time that we should be able to put something together with him to get our NFTs launched. We're currently at the fork in the road regarding going for an NFT marketplace right now, or starting off with a free like marketplace platform like NFTFI. While NFTFI is like free up front for us to set up our own custom marketplace, the royalty fees, like there's 2.5% royalty fees that just don't come back to us. So if we do have a successful NFT launch and trading is happening, we're losing like 2.5% of every transaction if we set royalties above it. Whereas I've got a line on a developer who has an existing set of NFT marketplace contracts that was set up for gaming that could potentially be used. We just need to figure out the logistics of incorporating it so early into this project.
Gotcha. No, it's good that you've got it thought about and you got the connections already, so you can get those gears moving.
Yeah, it's a little bit more costly up front, but it could potentially be a long-term savior depending on how we execute it.
Perfect. Well, I'm glad you got your feelers out. Okay. See Ozon's question now. So what is the P2E mechanism of the game? The Mario that could attract the users to play in RetroDoge for the long run. Is it easier to start playing? Okay, so he's mainly asking what is the P2E mechanic of the game. So I think he might have maybe missed the part where we talked about the P2E style. I kind of want to just give a brief synopsis of how the gameplay works real quick for any of our later listeners as well. They might enjoy that.
The very brief summary of how the play-to-earn system will work is very much like Super Mario. You run across the levels, fighting enemies and collecting coins. In that, all the coins and potentially some bonuses that we lay throughout the levels, they will translate to an approximate equivalent of our token on a balance sheet. When you reach the end of the level, you can either choose to cash out the tokens you've earned in that level and start the game again, or you can choose to carry those tokens into the next level and essentially risk those holdings to try and collect more coins in the next level. If you fail on any of the levels, all those coins that you risk are now end up being forfeited back to the play to earn contract system, and you just essentially get another shot at trying to play the game again.
Yes, sir. Fairly standard. Fairly the logic behind it is sound. That I can't imagine attacking it from a different angle. So I think you guys definitely went about the most logical and reasonable way to do about it, and the way that gives you the most options to scale as you're testing the kind of reward system. So I think that's perfect.
Yeah, well, it's at the start of this sort of game, so we didn't really want to make it too complex and confusing for people to understand. Like it's an old school game. It shouldn't be like rocket science to figure out how the play to earn system works, where 1 + 2 divided by the square root of 64 equals bloody pi or something stupid like that.
Okay. Okay. Try to get 1 or 2 more questions in. Can I see Julia? Her question's a little confusing to me, but I think it's a good question, potentially just because it seems like they've been listening and have a couple.
Yeah.
If you see it in the chat.
Jim,
how did the RetroDoge
last couple of questions?
Yeah, what's up?
If you have to step out, no worries, Q. We're just about wrapping up anyways. I want to thank you for coming, brother. Appreciate your time with us.
Thank you.
All right. So this next question is just kind of a basic question. Is so since you've gone through everything between removing of this dev, launching of the new project, introducing of staking pools, finishing of Certic, what are the next steps that the real project's going to take? So that kind of ties to your roadmap. But if you kind of want to just briefly say what your next steps are going to be, I think that might be a good point.
We're going to finish this game. Like that's what we intend to do. Like I mean that literally is the next step. Like that's the ultimate goal is to finish this game. I mean, as far as next steps, like smaller details, like get NFTs released, like release an alpha, release in beta, like we're going to do things like that. Yeah. Once we get the game complete, and if we can actually get it released and establish a higher market cap and get something actually going, then the possibilities are kind of endless beyond that point, because then we can actually develop a proper ecosystem. So.
Yeah. Once the game's in people's hands, I think you'll see a lot more feedback and involvement from the community and stuff like that too. That's normally how it goes. Once you enter an open alpha phase of a project, you start seeing a lot more trust from the community or open investors or people who have been waiting on the sidelines hopping in just because they see a product in front of them, that's given by a team that's obviously here for the long term. It seems like they've got their heart and their minds in the right place. Because I know, especially after coming from a past project of the 8-bit Doge, it could be easy for any of the teams to tuck tail and run. But y'all didn't do that, that's for sure.
Yeah, that was a tough decision. You know, there was like a point where it's like, well, we could just leave too and, like wash our hands of it, and we're not responsible of it, or there was like, well, we can essentially take the reins, and it was a good idea and try to actually complete what he did, because there was a good community behind it, and that was what drove everything, was the community. So that's why I'm still here, because of the community. I mean,
yeah. I say that about any project in general. It's the community that drives the development, the growth, the price. The community that drives everything, and the effectiveness of the team to listen to that community will really dictate how far you're going to go. So it seems like you guys are doing good. Everything we've talked about today has been super impressive. Everything we've seen. If people scroll through your guys' sites, it's all laid out really well. If they talk to your team, I know that they're going to be getting great answers and kind of standpoints of where you guys are and where you're going. So I'm happy, and I want to thank you guys for coming in today for that. So I want to, because I know we only had one person hop on VC, and I selected the kind of the questions at random, and I kind of rephrased them a little bit. So if you guys want to select your guys' winner for this VC portion for the community questions, now would be a good time to do it. If you want, you can choose Ozone, or if you want, I'm going to send you a quick DM with the usernames of the 6 usernames of people who asked reasonable questions in this time frame.
Okay.
Send you a message, and then however you want to go about those. There you go. So that's sent there, and then also we've got our. Here we are. Cool. Sorry, my team's texting me now about the prizes. That's the part I'm always less on top of. So, so we did the random name generator from the first 45 minutes. If you were listening with us earlier, I said that we're going to be taking a screenshot of the first 45 minutes of this AMA, and then everyone who was on that like snapshot, those got thrown into a random name generator. So those were selected behind the scenes by our team while we were doing all this, and we've got those usernames now. So those usernames and winners, I'm going to post those right here in chat. So this is from, actually we have to make sure that they're still in VC. So let me do that. So I've got these 2 usernames right here. I'll send those out just once we confirm this. Sorry about that.
It's all good. It's all good.
All right. So our first place and our second place winners, I'm just going to announce those now into the chat, and then I'll out of the people I sent you guys those usernames, if you want to pick one of those, we'll get those for that'll be our 25 BUSD winner for today.
Do you have did you DMQ, or is it just in mine? Do I need to send him one?
Just in yours, but I can send it to Q as well. I wasn't sure if he was still listening with us.
Yeah, send them to him real quick. Oh, I'm chasing down a youngster. It's almost bedtime here. It's been crazy. I actually lost power for like 20 minutes there for the last like 20 minutes, and I was working.
It's never good. Yeah, I was supposed to have scheduled power outage from like 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. and they never did it, and I got really happy.
We've had pretty bad lightning storms for like the last, last week, off and on for the last couple of days, last week. So my neighbor had, he's a pretty good gamer. He had about $8,000 or $9,000 worth of gaming equipment got zapped by one lightning strike the other day.
Jesus Christ.
Like his TV, and it took out his TV, his Xbox, and his PlayStation, and then his head unit for his stereo system, which he runs all of the sound through that.
That's never a good day. I'm glad he didn't get struck by the lightning. All right, so just waiting on quick answer from Q on you guys' guest question winner, and then I'll choose the host question winner as well. I think Q might be a little busy though.
Well, these are all.
I'm going to.
Yeah,
sunglass.
These are all right here.
Sunglass.
All right. I sent my
All right,
one.
so I got it. Thank you, brother. Appreciate that.
That's
All right. I'm hopping all over the screen. Okay. And
I got the 3 in here, the 5 in here for the questions. Q, did you pick one? I got Screaming Baby, but
yeah, I picked one.
yep, we got our winners, and they are posted now. I'm gonna do an additional prize actually as well, an extra 5 BUSD coming from me personally, and this is gonna go to Ozon. Just a little thank you to Ozon for coming in. That'll be it. Cool. All right. That should be posted. All right. So sorry for the slowness of that. Took a second. I'm still getting used to that picking prize format.
No, that's all good. No, it's fine. we're still getting used to the whole setting up for AMAs, so we get it.
Sorry, I switched devices, so I only half heard you. I think you were just saying you did it. You did it. So I want to wrap up just real quick while those still listening. RetroDoge launched May 9th. They've been there for 2 months now. They're coming into their alpha phase release coming up soon. So plug into their chat rooms for eventual dates and timelines on that. They are a P2E NFT game with the P2E and NFT aspects that are going to be integrated as they continue to go about. They have an impressive team that's been involved in this space for quite some time, and they've shown their commitment, especially through their resolve, through the relaunch and the rebranding into this new project, and through the obvious improvement of artwork that you can see demonstrated and highlighted in their demos that they have coming out. So I think everyone here has gotten a good understanding of the team, the project's tokenomics. Everything is very transparent on this team. You can see all the details on team finance, BSC scan. If you go into their chat rooms, they're more than happy to talk with you guys. RetroDoge team seems like a project that's here for the long term, here to stay, here to improve, here to innovate. I personally was really happy to talk to their team today and get to know more about their project, their reasonings for why they've come about, the reasonings for why they're here today, and the reasonings for where they're going in the future. I'm excited to get my hands on the alpha in the future once that does come about. You'll be probably seeing me in your own chat rooms. I love to keep up on these GameFi projects and kind of see where you are. So that's just a little personal project wrap up for myself, and a quick thank you to you both, or to all three of you guys, for coming in today. If you have anything else you want to say to our listeners, to our community, to your community, now would be the time to do so.
I'd just say rather simply, thank you for everyone who has come out and chatted or listened to us. And I'd like to thank some of our own community to come out as well, especially one of our most committed ones, Mender. He can be a headache at times, but you cannot falter that guy's support for this project. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Menda, wherever you're at. Thank you guys for having us. Thank you, Blitz, for backing me up. Yeah.
No problem. Thank you, guys. Take care.
Wait. Sorry, guys. I was looking at a question. Thank you again, folks, for joining us. We're going to wrap up wrap up this AMA with that right there. RetroDoge team, thank you again for joining us. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Mondays. I know it's late in the world for almost everyone, just about. So thanks for making the time, and thanks for coming out. We appreciate you here, and we thank you for starting our week off well, on the right foot forward. All right. Without further ado, I'll close this out. We're going to be posting these as we do on a weekly basis. We're going to post all of our AMA recordings, our rating sheets. I'll make sure to get that to the RetroDoge community as well, so they can get these nice recaps. And anyone who missed this event can come back in, learn more about the project and what it all have to offer to the space. So yeah, thank you all. Have a beautiful Monday.